Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the League of Chiropractic Women's monthly webinar series. I'm your host, Dr. Cathy Wendland Colby, and I'm so excited for you to be joining us for another one of our great leaders in our wonderful profession. I'd like to start today with our mission statement. The mission of the League of Chiropractic Women is to inspire and support women in chiropractic to thrive while advancing the principles and practice of chiropractic. We commit to serve the vitalistic principles of chiropractic as a subluxation-focused and drugless profession. I just love our mission statement because it kind of brings me back. It's like you slip and you check, and that mission statement brings me back every time. All right, ladies, we got a great show in store for you today. Our guest today is a 2012 graduate of Life University. Right after graduation, she opened up her own practice, works as a solo female doc in Fort Mill, South Carolina. She's the founder of Flight. Please help me welcome Dr. Jessica Harden. Hi, Doc.
Hey, Dr. Cathy. Thanks so much for having me on the call. I'm really excited to join you guys and share a little bit today.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to you sharing a little bit because I've been hearing so much about Flight lately. A lot of people in and out of chiropractic are talking about it. So I just want to kick it off by asking you, what is Flight? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Flight actually started in 2016. We've had 3 events so far, and Flight stands for Female Leaders Inspiring Greatness, Harmony, and Tenacity. I think those are 3 powerful words when we're speaking about women, because I think we have this innate drive to be the greatest woman in motherhood, in business, in whatever hat we want to play. Also, speaking of harmony, I am very passionate about this word particularly because I feel like a lot of times we use the word balance, and I think balance is perhaps an incorrect word to use when we're trying to find, our perfect place between like personal life and business life. And so harmony doesn't imply equal proportions like balance does. It's just as long as they all work together in different parts, then you create that harmony. And then of course, tenacity, I mean, we all know it, and it's gonna get a little bit into what I wanna speak on later today, but just kind of the tenacity to be able to push through and the drive and the passion to be able to build the practice of your dreams. And that is our fundamentals of what we want to create in Flight. And we just had this past conference in December, and we had majority of people there were chiropractors, but we also had attorneys. We had a young lady that works at international affairs. It's a lobbyist. And then we also had a couple of marketing specialists there. So we're catering to people, not just in chiropractic, but women who have a drive to have a practice, a firm, a brick and mortar business that's going to be able to give them the ability to change the world in different capacities. So we're excited for the next 2018.
I love it. And I love the fact that you took the time to explain harmony, because I also agree with you. I think that balance is such a misnomer. There's no way that I could balance my family and my practice, right? Because I can't do 50-50. For me, it's about present time consciousness. But I like that you chose the word harmony because that really represents what we do. So fantastic. Yeah. I love it.
And speaking of topics, I mean, I would say out of all the topics we spoke on in December, most of them were about harmony and how to create that. And I think that is the biggest question that we ask in our profession right now. How do you manage it all? And it's different for every person.
It's interesting because that conversation comes up, and I see a lot of people talking about it, and it seems that as gender roles have been evolving over the past 30, 40, 50 years, what we have seen, at least in my perspective, is I've seen women go from running the household to getting a job to now trying to run everything. So we didn't let go of one aspect of life, we just added more on, and that leads a lot of women to a feeling of being burned out or being isolated or feeling like they're a slave to their job or to their practice or to their business. So I'm glad to see that you're really having this conversation and making a great space for women to have it.
Absolutely, and I'm glad to provide it. And it's been really interesting to see how things have unfolded. There's a huge hunger for it right now. So I'm glad that individuals such as yourself and the League of Chiropractic Women are doing everything they can to put these resources in the hands of other women right now.
I think it's important for our future. So let's shift gears a little bit, because I love to hear you talk about grit. And I know that our listeners will be so excited to hear your take on this. So talk to us a little bit about grit.
So it's interesting because, and it's kind of interesting how I came upon this topic. So New Year, resolutions, goals, everybody's creating, it's like this new adventure, this new a new chapter that everybody's excited to try to do, right? But we all know that people will set goals and then over the course of the months, gradually we'll get off target, we'll fade, or we'll burn out, like you mentioned earlier. You know, a multitude of different things can happen. So I think it's really interesting that I stumbled across this topic just recently, and I read a lot of different books. You know, those of you that are listening to or are watching this video right now, you have to understand that you have to continually fuel your fire and your passion, right? So in 2017, I did a lot more reading, and I read a lot of great women writers. So everybody's familiar with Brene Brown's book. Then also, the other gal I'm thinking of, and I just blanked. So the CEO of Facebook, I just blanked.
Lean in.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just is. So her work
it's
as
on
well.
The tip of my tongue too.
And then the most recent one, and this is how I stumbled on grit, was Angela Duckworth. Now, she's done a lot of research on the topic, and she actually wrote a book. It's called Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. And the reason why I've really fallen in love with this word grit is originally my concept of grit was, okay, it's about, you know, this perseverance aspect, right? But Duckworth, it paints in a great picture of how it's not just, you know, a perseverance, but it's a passion. It's a beautiful thing that literally is the key element that dictates whether someone has success or walks away from it. And I didn't say failure, and there's a reason for that. So has success or just walks away from it. So she dives into this, and she talks about a lot of different things. And the thing is, when we're talking about, okay, well, what else does grit have to it? I mean, it's not just about perseverance and passion, but also long-term goals. So you're working daily to make that future a reality, okay? So this is not like a little sprint, this is a marathon. So we're talking about how we are looking at our daily activities that funnel into that ultimate goal, that ultimate reality that we want to create, that dream, that vision that we have for ourselves. So one of the things that she talked about in her book, and I think this is really important, you're like, okay, I know that grit's out there, and I know it's going to dictate whether I make it happen or whether it doesn't happen. Well, how do you get grit? And here's the amazing thing, like, it doesn't have to be an innate ability. It doesn't have to be something that, it's not something you like purchase. It's something you can actually grow. And that's the amazing thing. So Duckworth was talking a 4 different points specifically that talk about how to grow grit, okay? She talked about interest. She talked about practice, purpose, and hope. She says these 4 elements she's found in her research are key elements that go into growing and developing grit. And if you can focus on building grit, you are positioning yourself even better to be an even bigger success for this next year. So I think it's so great that we're actually having a chance to talk about this. So again, interest, practice, purpose, and hope. So interest. So obviously, if you're going to be going after anything in life, you have to have an interest in it. And granted, you know, we all have hobbies and things that we enjoy and like to pursue and do. But what I find is interesting is how do you get it from, oh, that's kind of fun to do, to, wow, I'm passionate about it. So how do you make that transition? And there is a sentence in her book, and I'm going to read this specifically. She said, she actually got this from another researcher that she's referencing, to remain passionate for work is a little bit of discovery followed by lots of development and a lifetime of deepening. When I read this, I was like, oh gosh, this is so chiropractic in so many different ways. Because think about it. I mean, you know, we have this interest of like, oh, I want to feel good. I want others to feel good. And, you know, we constantly have to funnel like our sense of discovery, like finding a new way to correct the subluxation or a new way to discuss or analogy on how to help practice members discover what the potential for their body may be. And then you're talking about lots of development and a lifetime of deepening. So now we're talking about the training, like CA's digging in and like looking at different aspects of like how to communicate chiropractic and how to be leaders, not just guide, but lead these people into chiropractic. And then that lifetime of deepening, I mean, Dr. Cathy, I know you're probably just like every year I just fall more and more in love with chiropractic. There's no plateau to it. It's just more and more as it grows over the years. I'm sorry, Dr. Cathy, I didn't catch that last question. I think there was a lag.
Okay. One of the things that you had mentioned earlier was you said working daily to make that future a reality.
Yes.
And that's such a great statement because we are who we are because of the choices that we made. That's something that I've been taught my whole life and said my whole life. And I think that really is a testament to how we end up living our life. When we look back over our life, we are a product of what we did. So what we do every day. But it's so easy for people to get off focus. It's so easy for people to get off purpose, to lose sight of their goals. What do you do, and what could our listeners start doing to stay focused on their goals?
Man, and you just hit on another element. So we talked about purpose specifically. So when we're talking about purpose, specifically what I do, she defines purpose in her book that cultivating it by reflection, exploring the small ways to make work meaningful, and then having a purposeful role model. So she defines these three things, okay? And this is going to tie into my specific my tactics and how I stay purposeful in my work, because that is another element, growing grit. So cultivating by reflection, I spend me time thinking about, am I happy? Am I fulfilling my purpose? Am I doing what I feel like is coming from me innately? Am I living the life that I want to lead, which is one of integrity and honesty and giving back? You know, when you're looking at the small ways to make work meaningful, you know, is every action that I take working towards a greater cause? Is it serving my family? Is it serving my practice? And in what ways? To look in the bigger picture, the why mission mindset. And then having a purposeful role model. I mean, I can't tell you, and you could speak to this in so many different ways, the sense of community we need with women. I mean, we have seen such a huge increase in role models for women right now because of the fact, like, it's becoming more out in the open. And I think when you have that purposeful role model, an example that's showing you, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm capable of, whether it's exactly what you want to do or not, it does not matter, but just having that type of a role model can be such an inspiration to drive your purpose as this is what I need to do, because this lady's, excuse me, but kicking tail out here, I'm going to continue to kick tail where I'm at. So, and that's what makes it really cool. And I think that is a whole beautiful element in following into grit. Probably one of my favorites.
When it comes to grit in our profession, from your perspective, because you've been out in practice a couple years, and some may say, well, you haven't been out there that long. And it's true in relation to some of the women here in the League of Chiropractic Women. We've got some women that have been in practice 30 and 40 years. But I think what you have going for you is that you have thrown yourself in, all in. I mean, you jumped in the pool, you didn't dip your toes in, you got fully involved, and you've been really invested in chiropractic. So from your perspective, what you've seen traveling around and motivating and inspiring docs, what is it that we're lacking? Where can we work hard to improve our grit when it comes to chiropractic?
Well, one of the last elements is hope. And it's not hope like, oh man, I hope things will get better. It's not that. She taps into the biggest contributing to growth, to growing grit, as growth mindset, okay? And that growth mindset model is the ability to learn is not fixed. There's no cap to potential, right? We talk about continually unleashing the body's potential. Same thing goes for learning. I mean, we know in chiropractic, I mean, the brain can grow new synapses, and we know that the brain can learn new things. We already know this, but to actually act that out is completely different. And I think one of the things that holds us back right now is we say the words, oh, well, we look at fail. Oh, this is good. So think about failures, okay? You fail at something. What is your reaction to it? Do you say, oh, this means that it didn't work because I don't have this, or I am not this? Or do you say, oh, that's just a part of the process and the journey. That's just going to happen. Now I need to navigate that and go another step further. And so I think what I'm seeing a lot more, and you mentioned me throwing myself into this, it's because I just don't feel like there's a limitation to what the potential is, what we can do in chiropractic. And I feel like after a series of time, and this is just some conversations that I've had, it's like, oh, well, I've been doing this for so many years. I've been doing it this way. That's just how it is. Or they let that define, instead of taking a step back and saying, no, that doesn't have to be a limitation. You can literally create a new direction. You always have that choice to do that. And I think always keeping this abundant mindset instead of the scarcity mindset is really what's going to remap and redirect where our profession's going. And we're already seeing it develop. It's not that it's not happening. It's just, it's already going that way. We just need to push it forward in that model. And that's what's going to give chiropractic the grit to be able to reach the masses and serve in the capacity it needs to.
So our past doesn't have to define our future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want you to look back 5 years ago, fresh out of school, getting ready to start. I want you to look back 6 years ago, still in school and trying to figure out who you are in this big world and in this big profession of chiropractic. And I want you to talk specifically to the students, the up and coming grads and the new grads who are right now trying to figure out what they are supposed to be doing, what's their place in the world, how do they decide how they're going to contribute, and if they're going to jump all the way in. Talk to that person right now because they're listening and they need to learn from you.
So I think the biggest lesson that I learned was you don't have to know everything. However, there's no reason to repeat the same mistakes that other people have already done. So I am a big component of mentorship. I feel that believing that you can do it on your own is kind of selling yourself short of the true potential you could have. So I highly recommend connecting with women or other individuals that are doing something similar or similar capacity what you want to do, and spending time and build community, because I think that is the biggest thing is we tend as women, we tend to, sometimes we have so much on our plate, we tend to withdraw and just focus instead of continually reaching out. And that's a danger zone, and we need to keep that door open. And so one of the biggest things I take away is as you're finding your way, spend time in the, beside or, following these other women leaders in our profession, because that's going to give you the ideas or the inspiration to explore what capacity you want to have and what you want to do for the profession. And I think a lot of joy comes from the fact of giving back, and everybody wants to help everybody. They want to see people healthy from the inside out. And I think sometimes you have to look deeper and say, what's the even bigger picture? What is it that I want to create? Maybe not just helping people, but what do I want that to mean? That's an even bigger question. So spending time with other women in other capacities who are doing amazing things are only going to serve you. And it says this in the Bible, if I can reference this, it says, seek wisdom no matter what the cost. And I truly believe that's important. Now, cost doesn't have to mean money, guys. It can mean time, So whatever you need to do to spend to seek that wisdom is so vital and key. And I think that's only going to give you the platform to be able to figure out what it is that you're truly capable of and what you want to do.
So I like that. Seek wisdom no matter the cost. You gave us some great, great comments today to really kind of stick with us. And I love the quote that you had earlier. To remain passionate for work is a little bit of discovery followed by a lifetime of deepening. Some really good nuggets, but I'm not going to let you go yet because I need you to give us one more nugget for those people that are listening, whether you're listening live right now or you're watching the replay. For those people listening, I need you to give them one more nugget that they can take away. Maybe it's something about developing grit. Maybe it's something about getting more passionate or setting their goals. But what is it that you'd like for them to take away?
So if you're the kind of individual that may be feeling intimidated or you're wanting to create big goals for this 2018 year, look at your grit. Evaluate where it's at. Do you need to pique your interest, develop more passion? Do you need more practice, quality practice, not just quantity, but quality? Do you need to find a deeper purpose, an anchor, a why, refocus on the mission? Or do you need to develop hope? Do you need to break out of this limited mindset and get into a more abundant mindset to find out what potential could be for this year? And I think if you explore those and spend some time thinking about those and reflecting on it, I think you're going to find where you need to focus your attention to be able to become a bigger version and greater version of yourself this year.
And that's something that we all strive to be, right? Is a greater version of ourselves, to have a bigger impact. I know that you've been having a very big impact. So before I let you go, tell people how they can reach out to you and learn more from you.
Absolutely. So currently, right now, the best way to reach me, you can private message me through Facebook. You can find me there. If you want to email me, that's available as well. dr.jessicaharden@gmail.com. You can send me an email. And also as well, you can visit our current website, amp.com/flight. amped.com/flight. We have information on there as well. So looking forward, I'm open to any questions and comments. I'm also looking to grow, as Dr. Cathy knows. I'm always a student as much as I want to impact too as well. So I'm heavily open to learn as well along the way. So.
And Dr. Jessica, do you have some videos where people could kind of stay engaged with your message?
Absolutely. By visiting that website, we'll be using videos later this year. We're just launching this year a monthly video called Flight Foundations. So we'll be utilizing that web page to post them on there. We actually have an email list. So if you want to be added to it, you can reach out to me and we'll get you connected to it. So monthly videos, just kind of connecting. And we're actually going to dive into these different elements of grit a little bit more. So if you appreciated learning about this topic and kind of want to know how to explore that a little bit more, we'll be diving in that for the first part.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. Cathy.
It's such a pleasure having wonderful guests like Dr. Jessica here on the League of Chiropractic Women's webinar series. Try saying that 10 times fast. League of Chiropractic Women webinar series. We have phenomenal leaders that are really here giving to you, sharing with you, trying to inspire you, empower you, motivate you, and help you thrive in your practice and in your life. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're not yet a member, I encourage you to go check out our website, lcwomen.com, where you can find out more about membership as well as the events that we host. We host monthly chapter meetings all around the world, and we'll be in Atlanta in May as part of the Rubicon Conference, and then we'll be back in Arizona in November for our annual Spiz and Spa event. Ladies, I encourage you, if you're not yet a member, join. If you know someone who's not yet a member, please share the LCW with them, because part of your membership, you get access to our library of all of our past webinars, as well as our Wise Women Wednesdays. And you get access to the LCW Coffee House, which is a Facebook page that is strictly for members, where you are able to discuss anything with other members, get great tips, great masterminding, great mentoring, and learn so that you can continue to grow. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Yay.